SBF's success is because his love of gambling. But he fails because he loves to gamble too much. He is too smart but too arrogant too. He forgets that in addition to winning and losing, there is also a human in front of him. In today's video, I'd like to talk about SBF. When you mention Sam Bankman-Fried, everyone knows him. Even in the traditional financial circle, mostly anyone knows about him. After all, he really had a big aura in the past. In 2021, SBF was even named by Forbes as one of the richest people under the age of 30. And in 2022, he was named in the US Time magazine as one of the 100 most influential people in the world list. SBF is also the only person in the crypto industry to have been named in the Time 100 list. So yes, you may have heard a lot of stories, but today I still want to talk about SBF from my point of view because I had the chance to meet the man once, and we'll talk about how we met and what happened when we met in a minute. But today I want to explain the life of the king of cryptocurrency, the con man of the century, from three aspects: his successes, his failures, and his trial, from my point of view. So let's dive in. There are three main reasons why SBF is a genius con man. I think it's because he is from a top family background. He is a very intelligent man and he loves to gamble. So family first. His parents are well-known professors at Stanford University Law School, and he himself graduated from MIT. The fact that he became the king of cryptocurrencies on his own is enough to prove that this person's IQ is ridiculously high. So let's leave these 2 points, family and intelligence, aside. I will focus on his gambling nature in this video. Jane Street, SBF's old employer, wanted to teach its traders how to bet and think during their internships. So interns were encouraged to bet against each other on anything they could think about. Which sport team would win, which interns will get like full-time jobs, and so on. There were only one rule for safety's sake. It was, interns can't lose more than $100 a day. The SBF's success is because his love of gambling, but he fails because he loves to gamble too much. He is too smart but too arrogant too. He forgets that in addition to winning and losing, there is also a human in front of him. This brings us to the meeting I had with him. It was back in 2016. I hadn't really been exposed to cryptocurrencies at that point in time, and he hadn't yet become the king of cryptocurrencies. I got to know him because I had a friend who was crazy about Bitcoin. My friend wanted me to invest in Bitcoin with him. So he dragged me to have this dinner with SBF. And SBF, he was just with his exploding head hairstyle, his simple t-shirt, and with his 3-day beard. He looked really ordinary. And at that time, I really couldn't see how he could be so powerful back there then at all. At the beginning, I didn't take him seriously. But I really didn't expect that when he talked about Bitcoin, he literally became another person. His eyes brightened up, and he said that this was the decentralized world he wanted to see, and he kept saying crazy things like cryptocurrencies would eventually become the world's currency. Unfortunately, I was still skeptical about Bitcoin at that time, and when I saw him like that, I just thought the guy was really just crazy. But now, I'm starting to think that cryptocurrencies will eventually become the world's common money currency, you know. Look at it now. Everyone is already used to paying with virtual money. But I digress. Let's get back to SBF. He really gave me the impression that he is an extremely egotistical and arrogant genius. During the meal, whenever I raised a different opinion, he would just interrupt me, deny me, and even directly call me stupid. He'd say, Bitcoin is not something that people with low IQs can play with. And I was angry. Luckily, my friend calmed me down, but I also have to say that still, he left a very deep impression on me. His view of events, his fanaticism about Bitcoin and gambling, his untouchable attitude, all of those made this person extreme. But such extreme people are obviously destined to an extreme end. When we talk about the end of SBF, of course, we have to mention FTX. So we can take a brief look at the history of FTX. And it's really quite amazing. In May 2019, FTX was officially established in Hong Kong. And then in January 2020, the bilateral transactions on the FTX exchange exceeded 20 billion. And it's important to know that the company at that time existed for less than a year. In 2021, FTX became the fastest growing crypto company in history, with a valuation of 32 billion. In February, SBF was ranked second on the Forbes crypto billionaires list with a 4.5 billion net worth. And in 2022, FTX and SBF were very high profile. On April 26, they hosted the Crypto Bahamas conference with Salt, and at the opening ceremony, the former British Prime Minister, the former US President, the Prime Minister of Bahamas, the Super Bowl champions, the former chairman of CFTC, and the CEO of ARK Investments, Wood, attended with many others. And it's insane. SBF at that time probably couldn't have imagined that in November of the same year, FTX would declare bankruptcy and that he would be arrested in December. From the top to the bottom, SBF just needed less than 2 years. How exactly did FTX collapse? This brings us to Alameda Research, another company that was founded by SBF. Alameda was a trading company that was initially funded by loans from SBF's acquaintances. But a few weeks after it was created, most of those investors withdrew their investments because the funds was underperforming. That's what alleged his ex-girlfriend and former close comrade in arms, Caroline Ellison herself. She told us that SBF said at that time that it was a priority to get more loans for the firm and that he thought FTX was a good source of funding. So he unilaterally chose to set up a system that allowed Alameda to borrow from FTX. This borrowing was unlimited. No collateral was required and there were no negative balances. SBF treated FTX as a bank with a constant flow of money that it can borrow without repayment. But this bank, it was his client's money. Those shocking facts were then quickly exposed. On November 2, 2022, CoinDesk disclosed Alameda's balance sheet, which showed that Alameda's assets were 14.6 billion, but it relied on FTT tokens for more than a third of the total. People started to see the truth, and the FTX empire headed rapidly toward the decline. You already know the consequences. SBF was arrested. And if you thought that was all, no, his trial was also very exciting. As mentioned earlier, he was personally accused by his ex-girlfriend, Caroline Ellison, and in addition to Ellison, second in command at FTX, Gary Wang, and also his close aide and head of engineering at FTX, Chad Singh. The three of them were all together involved in the accusation, turning against him. And stuff continued to come to light, one more shocking than another. Gary Wang said that at the request of SBF, a future enabled Alameda to withdraw funds directly from FTX. In other words, Alameda's privileges were written directly into the FTX platform code, allowing it to withdraw billions of dollars of client funds virtually without limits. Another piece of code ensured that Alameda's positions were never liquidated, bypassing FTX credit risk management process. Ellison claimed that Alameda not only borrowed from FTX customers and used this money to invest and pay down debt, but that it also served as an ATM for SBF and FTX executives. And Chad Singh revealed also that SBF squandered billions of dollars on political donations, investments, and big-ticket advertising. For example, he invested $1 billion in the Bitcoin mining company Genesis, $499 million in the AI company Anthropic, $200 million on K5, and He donated to Biden and put millions into Oregon politician Carrick Flynn. And almost all of these investments came out of his own self-interest. On March 28 this year, US District Judge Lewis A. Kaplan in Manhattan Federal Court finally sentenced SBF. Fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and other 6 charges found him guilty. He was sentenced to 25 years imprisonment and more than $11 billion. A genius ending in prison. What a waste. And so, the story of SBF comes to an end. At least for now. From king of cryptocurrencies studied by millions to the crook of the century who has been sent to jail, this familiar script is by no means the first of its kind. And I believe it won't be the last. In this never-ending game of capital markets, the weaknesses of human nature can be shown to the fullest. The game of money and human nature is still going on. And I can just only hope that the new risk takers and gamblers of this world will not repeat the same mistakes. Alright, we'll see. If you like this kind of content, leave me a like and don't forget to subscribe. And I'll just see you in the next one. See you.